Hello there, my name is Michael Maynard and welcome to this instructional video from PickPals. Now, this is the first of two videos that we're doing on this little wee padlock here. PickPals are selling these padlocks so that you can pull them apart yourself, repin them and use them as training locks. That is an awesome idea. But if you're going to do that, then there are some skills that you need. So what I'm going to do in this video is teach you guys how to disassemble this thing and then reassemble it again. What we will do in the second video is talk about the mechanics of repinning it. So for this first one, what are we going to need? We are going to need some tools. Now what we've got here is a set of shims. Shims are invaluable. You'll find out why later on. They are dirt cheap, they are consumable, so you use them and chuck them out and they will save you from making some horrendous mistakes. Get yourself some shims. Next thing you're going to need is a screwdriver. Almost everybody uses one of these little reversible ones, so you got Phillips on one hand, flat head on the other. Next thing we've got over here is a set of followers. Now you are only going to need one of these, but they're all slightly different diameters, and the trick is until you get into a lock you don't know which one you're going to need. So get yourself this set of followers. You can buy the Sparrows one, or there's a whole lot of different brands, doesn't really matter. And the last thing you're going to need is a cheap little pair of pliers. Right, so let's get into pulling this thing apart. First thing we've got to do is open the padlock. We've got the key, so we don't need to pick it. Now in that little hole there you will see a Phillips screw. They are very often Loctited in, so you will need a little bit of force to undo that. Drop it to one side, and for God's sake do not put that screw back in until you have tested the lock afterwards. You don't want to be the guy that puts the core back in, doesn't test it, screws everything in and then finds that he's converted his lock into a fishing sinker. Next thing we do is drop the core out of the bottom of the lock. So if we just drop that out there, it's going to slide straight out. The core is held in place by this part here. Put that to one side. We're not going to be needing that at the moment either. Alright, next step. Have a look at the back of the lock. You will see that there is a circlip here that holds the core in. We need to get that circlip off. Okay, so here's our circlip on the back of the lock. What we're going to do is use the pliers here and just push that circlip up out of the way. It does need a bit of force. Just like that. So now we've got that circlip pinned most of the way off, and if we get in there with the screwdriver we can just pry it off the rest of the way. Alright, next thing. Let's get the key in, give the thing a quarter turn. Now this is the bit where you need to get this shim in, okay? So we are using our shim. We are going from the back of the lock and we are sliding that shim along to hold those pins in place. If we push it right the way in, what you'll find is that when you get it right the way through, the leading edge of the shim will just push the core out a little bit. That tells us that we've got that shim in the right place. Now the next thing we need is a follow-up of the right diameter. Let's try that one. That's just a little bit too big. Let's try this one here. Okay, this one here works well. Now the reason that we have got this shim across the top here is that if we push this through and there is even a tiny gap between the leading edge of this and the back end of the core, we are going to have pins flying everywhere and we are going to wreck some springs. We do not want to do that. So here's our follower. Push the thing gently through, and if you guys watch here you're going to find that that now slides out. We have got all the top pins trapped inside here and we've got all the key pins sitting in our plug. Now reassembling this is simply the reverse of pulling it apart. So here's our shim. We've got our shim poking out the front here so that we can hide this stuff underneath it, just like that. We turn the core a few degrees round, slide everything in, follower drops out the back, shim gets removed. Now gently remove that key. If you grab this key and pull it out right now, what's going to happen is that the core is going to ping straight out and you're going to make a huge mess. So when you remove the key here, just have your thumb on there on the edge of the core so that you don't pull the core out with it. Circlip goes on the back again, just like that. We might need the pliers to, oh no, there we go. Okay, now, this is where you want to start testing stuff, guys. First of all, does the key work? Yep, it does. Lovely. Okay, second thing, let's put the core back in the padlock. Let's put this part in there after it. Does everything line up? Well, no, at the moment it doesn't. So this little part is sticking proud of the body of the lock. Why is it doing that? Because we need to twist that round a little. Okay, now we've got that seated. You have noticed I haven't stuck that screw in there yet, guys. What we want to do is test the padlock without having the screw in there. So, does it work? Yep, it does. Okay, we have proved that we're okay. Now we put the screw back in. And the job is done. There you go, guys. Disassembly and reassembly of the Lockwood padlock. Have a look at the second video for how to repin the thing.